All right, we're back. So, what I wanted to, normally I'll see a video and or use a video often to share an idea. Maybe I'll think of something to put down below. You can take a look and see whether I come up with something to put below. But in fact, I have an idea that I may. But I've been looking at. We all have. We've seen what's going on in New Orleans and in Las Vegas, etc. And it just brought some stuff into mind that you know. Basically, I don't know what is real, and I don't think any of us do, except for potentially someone who's behind it all. Uh, the in New Orleans and Las Vegas, uh, both these trucks, they were two trucks. They were two rental trucks. They were two rental trucks with all kind of stuff in them. Okay, the from what I understand, the one in uh, New Orleans had like some kind of not IUD, uh, bomb material, pipe bombs and things like that. That for some reason weren't used. Maybe I'm not quite clear. Even at this point, I haven't been watching everything about everything. I watched some of it on the mainstream media, just because I'm watching one program and bingo, you're looking at it. So I'm looking at what they have to say. I don't like the mainstream media. I don't follow it to get reality, but I do watch it to know what they're saying from time to time. And so apparently these are what they. It's not a terrorist. At this point, it's not a terrorist, and who knows? I mean, what is a terrorist? A terrorist is somebody, I guess, who's trying to terrorize you from another country, and if they're just here in the United States, they're just nuts. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I think most terrorists are probably nuts anyway. But the point is that there's information in the truck, and they checked out in New Orleans. They checked it out, and there was a flag here, a flag there, a flag there, other place. There's a flagpole on the back of the truck. Flag, flag, flag for ISIS. Uh, it moved from being a flag which is in the truck to being a flag patch, ISIS flag patch on a jacket, which might make the most sense to me under the way things were. I can see where there was something that looked like a flagpole on the truck, and maybe the guy decided it wouldn't do him any good to stick a flag on the flagpole because uh, he'd be too obvious. He wouldn't be able to get to where he wanted to be. So, uh, and at one time he seems to be a real estate agent, and now he's obviously someone who just came across the border. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's go to the Las Vegas guys. Las Vegas guy. He's got all this incendiary stuff in the back of the truck, and I was glad to find out that that's the truck. I've seen these things driving around. Didn't know exactly what they were. They just looked like really big cars to me. But now I understand they're a truck. So with a cover on the back. So anyway, two electric vehicles, both of them rented. That's curious to me. Both of them rented from elsewhere and driven into their location. To me, uh, that looks like that potentially it's a heck of a coincidence and a very huge coincidence. But looks like centralized planning to me. But I don't know. It could be just a coincidence. So there's a narrative that has been going around for a good while that once Trump won the election, then people have been warning. Different outlets I've seen, different people saying we need to look forward some really crazy black swan kind of stuff. They're going to try to start a war. They're going to, but if nothing else, they certainly will have some major events happening to try to keep the inauguration from happening, etc. Well, you can see where if you start blowing up trucks all over in major cities all over the United States where there's big crowds, that it's quite possible they might get concerned about having an inauguration in big inauguration in Washington because of big crowds. And of course, we saw how they locked down Washington a few years ago, which was just it's pretty crazy. But anyway, so they can lock down Washington and maybe not have it. You saw Biden's inauguration. It looked like there was hardly anybody there, and I'm sure that was planned. But so that narrative's going on. So these two incidents certainly could fit into a planned campaign to terrorize us, so to keep us from trusting that we should go forward. Who knows? There may be something terrible coming. I don't know. It's just curious. That's all. And I know that I don't know. And I know that they're not really telling me everything I need to know. And I don't know whether it's because they don't know it themselves or whether they just don't want me to know. And that's really frustrating. So I'm irritated because I want to know the truth. And when I say I want to know the truth, this isn't, I'm the type of guy, look, when I was in like the seventh grade and the Vietnam War was going on, I could tell you where Vietnam was. The average seventh grader couldn't. I wanted to know, where's Vietnam? Where's Hanoi? How are these campaigns happening that I see on the news when I'm sitting there with my father at night? I'm watching the news at night. I want to know. Entebbe happened. Well, guess what? I didn't know. Why? Because I was working at a camp where we didn't have any TVs. So that whole Uganda Entebbe attack happened with the Israelis, and I didn't know it until a few years later. But once I heard about it, I wanted to know. That was a very interesting campaign. My wife, if the dog walks out the door because somebody leaves the door open, I want to know who left the door open and why and how. Because if you know, then you have power, right? You cannot make them. You can avoid making the mistake another time. Now, my wife thinks I'm just trying to blame her for things, but I just want to know who did what. If I did it, fine. Who did it? Or if she did it, I want her to know, you did that so that you don't do it again. That's my point. So I want to know, what about these New Jersey drones? Man, there's all kind of stories about the New Jersey drones, and a few of them make good sense. The one I think is the most plausible is that these are military contractors, people who are working with drones, making drones for the military, and the military in general, the regular military guys at the regular basis, they don't know what's going on with it because they're not the ones running the military the campaign or the program for these drones. Anyway, you can look that up yourself. But who knows? Who really knows? I know one thing. There was an incident here several years ago where children were killed at a elementary school. And there's so much evidence that this was not an elementary school. That's pitiful. It had been used as one in the past. It was a closed building. There's schools all over the nation that, things change. They build a new school, more advanced building with more advanced technology or whatnot nearby. They consolidate different school districts or whatever they do. They don't need that building. Sometimes they, move school board operations into the building or whatever. But this building had been sitting there. It was just sitting there. And there was a planned practice event at that building scheduled for the time that happened. But the building was not an actual elementary school building. No one ever tells you that. Now, it could be plausible that they could have told us, oh, it's not an elementary school building. It's a building that they're doing a practice event at. And we had all kind of actors who were there acting. And along comes a real bad guy who we didn't know was going to come. We were planning, that was what the event was all about. It was to have that kind of thing happen. But we didn't really know a real guy would come and do that. They could have told us that. But that's not the storyline. This is all these narratives. All these narratives. I don't know what to believe. I just know I don't trust any of them. Maybe that's the plan. That if Satan wants me not to accept the truth, all he has to do is confuse me with all of his lies, right? So there's plenty of lies out there for me. So I don't know. Chemtrail. I put a picture of the chemtrails at the opening. You saw that when you checked on view or whatnot, right? Right here. I saw, and I'll put it up maybe with something else another time, but I just thought I'd share my own picture of what I see in the skies all the time. All the time. And, now I can accept some explanations for things. Now, I saw, I was very doubtful about chemtrails. And I saw some, but I was seeing good evidence that they existed. But I saw some guys from the military who said, "No, we don't do. We were pilots in the military. We never did chemtrails. They don't do chemtrails." Of course, my understanding is that if you're in the military, you do something secret. You can't tell the secret. So how can I trust anybody who's in the military who's going to tell me anything about what they did in the military, because if it was secret, they can't tell me the secret. that was useless. But if you don't know that people in the military can't tell you their secrets, and that's why sometimes we don't hear about some of this stuff until guys are on their deathbed, right? You'll occasionally hear some guy on his deathbed admit that he did X, Y, Z. That he killed John F. Kennedy or whatever, you know what I'm saying. So, are they chemtrails or are they condensation trails? And are they putting out chemicals? See, you could explain to me, and no one does. You could explain to me that all of this benzene and all these other chemicals that are in the air today in the United States are actually being put in the air in China, and the jet streams bringing them over here and dumping them on the United States. That would be something logical for me to believe in a simple way. Now, I'm not a weather expert, however, so I need a weather expert to tell me this. So I need some good scientists to tell me this. But at the same time, I got Dame Whittington saying, look, here we are. We've gotten a plane, and we followed one of these guys who were putting stuff out, and this is the chemicals we've picked up in the air, following them as they're dumping it. Now, is Whittington lying to me? I don't know. But the other guys aren't giving me anything else except for, oh, that doesn't exist. That's the main thing I get from all the official people is, that's just silly. I want to see real evidence about things. I want real good science to tell me what is true. Whichever way it goes, I don't care. I just want to know what's real. So it's pretty aggravating to me that I can't get that. Okay? I mean, I've got the guys who are telling, I've got people giving me science, and the science are condemning the guys who are the official guys, right? But I'm not getting anything good out of the official guys except for this condescending kind of attitude. Or just bald-faced liars. Sometimes you can tell. I know some things are true or not true, and they'll tell me a lie, and I'm going, you're just a liar. Anyway, and then, I was watching TV. here over the New Year's, and it just hit me once again. I'm just flipping around, not looking for what I want to watch, and there we have a celebrity with on a like on PBS on with some interview, and it just I turned to my wife and said, every time there's a whole list of celebrities, and we keep hearing these celebrities get interviewed by news people. I mean, the celebrity is a songwriter and singer. What am I listening to this guy about anything except how to write a song? But no, we get to listen to these basketball players, football players, movie stars, singers telling us what is reality, and have puff interviews by what is supposed to be a journalist giving us a line of bull. Sometimes I know it's bull. I'm tired of listening to people who know less than I know. That's particularly irritating to me. I know some things, and I really get irritated to listen to people, and I mean on both sides, anywhere it comes from. I get so tired. I'm looking around at something, listening to an interview about something, and it'll be going along. Okay, well, this guy seems to be a decent guy. And then they'll start talking about mud floods and how technology has, obviously they've had secret technology that they had done, starting in the 1900 or whenever, or how could they have done the Great Exposition in Chicago? How could you have built that building? Well, you can build the building because we didn't have steel until about the middle of the 1800s. Then we had steel, and then they started building different kind of buildings out of steel. Before that, they just had iron. And they couldn't only go up but about 3-4 buildings. You could walk up all the stairs. They started building these tall buildings. They started, elevators became something. That's why all of a sudden you started having elevators. And you start having things like the Prince Albert Pavilion in, I might not be exactly the name, but I think it is. The big glass pavilion in Britain. Because they were able to use this metal in that way. And they were able, therefore, to make buildings that were huge. These huge exhibition buildings. We've got some buildings today that are much bigger. Some of these buildings up north, like I think Ford has a building that's just huge. But the people who are talking, they don't know, and they're talking out of ignorance. And it's frustrating to me. They talk, some things they do know about, and I appreciate it. But people want to believe things sometimes. I don't want to believe anything. I know I believe in one thing, and that is Jesus is Christ and Lord. Okay? If you don't believe that, that's your business. Believe what you want to. But whatever you believe, you need to go look and see what the real history is. See what the real science is. Instead of listening to these BSers tell you that things aren't, what they've been told for the last 500 years is just crazy people who obviously their minds had not evolved far enough in order to know. So now we know because we're superior to the people in the past, which is hogwash as well. I'm a human. We've had humans for thousands of years. And they were just as smart as me and you. Know the truth. If you're a Muslim, don't listen to your imam tell you the bull your imam tells you. You need to go read some history, and you'll find out some stuff that will shock you big time. There's some people out there who've really done real historical research, archaeologically, gone through writings and everything to be able to look at, as a Christian, I'm looking at what does Josephus have to say, okay? Josephus was a Jew. He wasn't a Christian. What did he have to say? All right? I mean, there's other sources of my point I'm trying to make. There's other writings that you can read that aren't your official holy book that's going to reveal things to you. If you're a Hindu, go look it up. If you're a Shinto, go look it up. Now you're not going to get it again from your priest. He's going to give you the same stuff that focuses you where they want you to go. That's always irritating. Ministers in my religion, those who want you to go a liberal way, they give you some liberal BS, and it's BS. Then you have some people who they're conservative, and you don't know why they are, and they can't tell you why they are. There was an old song we used to sing, and it was when we be riding down the road to camp or something when I was a kid, and it went something like, "If it's good enough for Grandpa, if it's good enough for Grandpa, if it's good enough for Grandpa, it's good enough for me." Well, guess what? If it's good enough for Grandpa, it ain't good enough for me. I want to know what's real. I invite you to try to find out what's real. Have a good New Year's. Seek truth. If you seek truth and really want to find it, you'll find it. Have a good day.